This one I don't care as much as I care
Okay.
about the...
Welcome, everyone, to the Select Board, Select Persons meeting for April 22nd, 2025. We'll start with the flag salute. Okay. Look for approval of the meeting minutes for April 14th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. And a motion to accept the warrants. Okay. Well, we'll move on then. If we don't,
probably something we ought to just pass
Yeah.
over. If we're not making a motion to accept the warrants, we're not paying bills,
yeah.
and we're not paying people's paychecks. So, if we don't approve the warrant, that means paychecks don't go out and bills don't get paid. There was, so I don't know. I guess I didn't make the motion to approve them because I've got some question about certain accounts and what's there for funds. As concerned as we may be with balances and expenses and accounts, we have to approve the payroll warrant, and we can't let people not get paid. I mean, that has to be done. And the rest of the warrant is fairly small. I guess Julie, last week you gave us an expense report for 2025. Do we have
I haven't got it updated for you to go back over the figures. I've been working on what you wanted for the auditors.
Okay,
Both Laura May and I will do with that.
all right. So assuming it's early enough in the year that I don't think any of these accounts have been overspent. Some of them are on the verge to certainly not making it to the end of the year by any means. And we do have enough cash in the account to make these payments. Okay.
And I'll do my best to get that report to you for the next meeting.
So, based on information, we have to pay people. The warrant that is not payroll there's some stuff that has to go out to the state. We can't hold those back. For motor vehicles, that's money we're taking in, so it has to go out. There's work for the road commissioner. I mean, they did the work, they should get paid. Some of this is insurance stuff. There's nothing certainly out of the ordinary here. So I guess in order of keeping business moving and the town operating, I make a motion, we accept the warrants as presented, the general warrant and the payroll.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Okay. Announcements. The Select Board will meet on Monday, April 28th at 7 p.m. The next semi-sesquicentennial meeting for the town's 250th anniversary will be Wednesday, April 30th at 6 p.m. at the fire station. Please reach out to Lisa LePage for more information, or please attend the next meeting. You may reach her at 651-1594 or llepage6@yahoo.com. The planning board will meet on Wednesday, May 7th at 7 p.m. And the Appeals Board has 2 vacant seats to fill, and the Planning Board has 1 open seat as well. Please reach out to the Select Board admin if interested, 793-4475. And as a reminder, if you're speaking at any meeting, please go to the microphone so everyone will be able to hear. As part of the hearing of citizens policy, no personal attacks on any individual firm, including town employees, town officials, or members of the public, will be tolerated during any meeting, and please direct concerns about individual employees or town officials to the chairman of the Board of Select Persons outside the public meeting. Please stay current with town information by visiting www.limerickme.org. Okay. And we've got some department reports. Cindy Smith, Library.
Good evening. So I have an update on the library. We have a lot of programs going on, and of course we have books and movies for you to borrow. We have the Maine Wildlife Park tickets that are available, and anyone over the age of 3 and up needs a ticket to go. And with these tickets, you'll only pay $5 per person. And the fee normally is $8 for the younger kids and $11 for adults, and it kind of ranges, has different amounts. But anyways, it would be $5 per person when you get there. So you come into the library and we'll give each person a ticket that needs to go. We've started a chess club, and that is the second Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m. All ages are welcome. We have a man coming in to talk about, answer questions about Medicare, and he will be there, the second Wednesday of each month from 10 to noon. We have a financial advisor coming in to talk to people, and that he will be here Wednesday, well, I have here April 16th, which was last week, the third Wednesday of each month at 6 p.m., and he will talk about retirement, whether you'll have enough money to retire, when to maybe sign up for Social Security, things like that. Answer your questions. We have a kids book club, and that is the second Wednesday of the month at 4. We have take and make craft kits. Lego Day is tomorrow, April 23rd from 10 to 2. And we have a few openings for the 11 to 2 spot. We could potentially take some walk-ins if nobody signs up in the morning for those 12 to 2 spots. Saturday, May 3rd, 10 to 11, we have Wendy Mickle. She will be having a workshop on the interconnected life, enhancing your soil's potential. So how microorganisms work together to create rich, fertile soil, and reduces and eliminates the need for fertilizers and pesticides. We're working on our summer reading program, which will start on June 21st and runs through August 9th. We have the Friends of the Library play readings. That's May 7th at 6:30. And the Friends of the Library are the group that paid for the Maine Wildlife Park tickets. That cost $350 a year to buy that packet of tickets. And there's, I think, 300 tickets that we have to give out. I wanted to talk a little bit about the Maine State Library and the funding that has been cut, the IMLS, Institute of Museum and Library Services. So the State Library has closed for 2 weeks. They will reopen on Monday. They are looking at how they're going to deal with the cuts that are happening. So possibly one of the ways the State Library helps the Limerick Library and other libraries in the state is we have free internet access. So we don't get a monthly bill for that, and some of that IMLS money goes to fund parts of the interlibrary, the internet. It also helps to fund some of the interlibrary loan system, the van that goes around, and some of the databases, and also the ebooks, the downloadable ebooks through the cloud library. So we don't know how that's all going to play out, and maybe we'll know a little bit more on Monday. Last year, the Limerick Library borrowed from other libraries 659 books, and we loaned out 56 books to other libraries through that van system that goes around the whole state. So I just wanted to let people know about that and how that may be affecting us here in Limerick.
Is there any timeline that they give you on that?
They are working on, because it looks like they're going to have to lay off 13 people at the state library. And unless they, give the money back, award that money again. This goes for grants, and it goes for payroll and many other things. They plan to open on April 28th, and maybe they'll have some answers for us. But they had to shut down and go through the union and the state,
Oh, boy.
state hiring process, decide who's gonna be the ones to go. And it will all trickle down to us and all the other libraries in the state, how we get some of our services. To wait and see.
Yep, that's all we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Anne Marie Carroll, the semi-quincentennial report.
I'm filling in for Lisa LePage tonight, and I'm on the committee of the 250th birthday celebration, which is going to be August 9th from 10 to 4 p.m. Our next meeting will be April 30th at 6 p.m. at the fire station. This is hosted by the Rec Department, Historical Society, Research Club, and the Fire Department. Starting Friday night at the fire station, the Rec Department is hosting a family dance from 6 to 8 p.m. The Masons group will be providing refreshments. Saturday's events will start with a parade going up Main Street and ending at Tibbetts Memorial Park for ceremonies and the opening of the time capsule. There'll be a craft fair held at the Bricktown Hall on Saturday. More information to come. After the parade, all other events will be held on School Street, such as free games for children and adults, bounce house, dunk tank, cornhole, face painting, etc. The Rec Department will be handing out free popcorn and cotton candy throughout the day, and free balloons will be handed out to children. Food concessions will be hosted by the Historical Society. Hamburgers, hot dogs, drinks, chips, all at reasonable prices. Story tea time with senior Limerick residents. They'll be telling stories of years past. We will have one food truck, and that will be the coned shaved ice. The Ladies Research Club will be hosting a bake sale. The fire department will have a smokehouse for children to participate in regarding fire safety, and they will have vehicle accident extraction demonstrations during the day. There'll be a bicycle rodeo, so all you kids out there, decorate your bikes to ride in the parade and then participate in the bicycle rodeo. Souvenirs of the 250th celebration will be sold, and more information of the items and prices will be posted soon. The committee is creating a 2026 town calendar featuring monthly pictures of long ago and present day pictures. The committee will be collecting donation ads for this calendar. Gold, silver, and bronze sponsors. A gold sponsor will pay $200 to host the before and after pictures in a month. It will list who the sponsor is. It can be a business, it can be in memory of a loved one, or whatever you choose. Silver donations will be from $100 to $199, and bronze donations under $100. Silver and bronze sponsors will be listed on the back inside calendar pages with your name or business name. These calendars will make a wonderful Christmas gift for anyone that has ties to the town of Limerick. So save the dates. Friday night, August 8th for the family dance, and Saturday, August 9th for a full day of fun, food, activities. Hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Giles, Treasurer.
Good evening. Currently, my office is working on the last of the materials for the auditor, and that means moving any of the finances around from point A to point B within each department's budget, depending on their wishes. Not all the departments are in, but the majority are in. We just got the fire departments this morning, and Laura is working with Vinnie, trying the chief to try to get everything where it belongs, because that's prior to me coming in to know the history of the finances. But we're prodding along with that. In today's mail, we've got two materials from Karen, the lady at RH&R. She asked for the long-term insurance, and I've given that to John, because he's working with insurance and to show that if we still have the property and its value proceeding. She also asked for a substantial list of invoices pertaining to the fire department, the building of it last year. Those have been gathered. They'll be mailed out tonight to her, and she is aware of it. Working with Karen Oliver, our accountant, I spoke to her today, and we had a list of what we had got and moved as of to date. And I asked her if she wanted it, and she stated she did, so it has been emailed to her. They are numbered, so they will not be recommitted. And other than that, it's just we're doing the same materials, getting done for the office. I apologize for my voice. It's better than I had Friday. I'm not contagious. They're looking now to see if I've got pneumonia. Other than that, we're fine. So you folks have a good evening, and any questions, I'm here for you folks.
Okay, thank you, Julie. And Joanne Andrews, Transfer Station.
In 2023, we were advised by the state of Maine that as of January 1st, 2025, we had to have all of our household waste in an enclosed container. We could no longer accept household waste at the transfer station in open containers. So started planning late in 2023. I contacted the company we've done business with since the early 2000s, Atlantic Recycling in New Hampshire. They're the only company in New England that will sell refurbished compactors. We bought the one for our single sort several years ago and had good luck with it. I got estimates from them, brought them to the selectmen approved them, and did a budget for getting the compactor in and running. That budget was $80,000. The townspeople approved the $80,000 at town meeting. And the final bill has come in. The compact has been working great. We had a couple bugs in it, but we've worked them out. And the total for the compactor installation, setup, and 4 containers. We had to have 4 new containers, 2 open tops to replace melons that were at the transfer station, 2 enclosed ones for the household waste. And everything came out at $79,950. $50 under budget. I was pretty happy with that. That leaves in that account, which is our designated account for capital projects, the original balance of $17,239.22 plus the $50. So we've got $17,289.22 that was set aside for the bathroom and the well at the transfer station. So with that out of the way, early on, the attendants and I decided, because in 2023 we had like $7,000 in the bottle donation account that we would pay for the attendance building down there out of the bottle money. And to date, the building cost of $4,813.04 has come out of the building account, and we still have a balance of $3,732.31. I'd like to thank Cortland Alexander. Cortland takes care of the bottles on a daily basis. Anything that needs to be bagged, he bags them, puts them in the trailer. When the trailer gets full, we call the company, they come with a trailer, put the bags in the trailer, take them off, count them, and bring back the money. We average at least $300 a load. Last year, we took in 4 loads, $1,287. And we've had 1 load so far this year of $347. So we've got $1,634 in that account for revenues. Also this week, we got a check from Eco-Maine. It's our percentage for recycling. They figure on an annual basis. We pay for recycling, and if the market is good, they give the towns back a certain percentage. And we got a check for $2,274.38 from Eco-Maine the other day.
Now, is that mostly for the paper?
That's for the recycling, the cardboard compactor, yeah. Yeah.
So is it still more cost-effective
Well,
to do the recycling? Because at one time, I know you said it almost evened out.
if it's a good year, yeah, it evens out. If it's not a good year, it might cost a little more.
To recycle.
But people really want to recycle.
Okay.
And I had a question for you guys. Have you had any contact with anybody concerning what FEMA owes us?
Well, we saw an email on it the other day. I guess my understanding is we submitted somewhere around $50,000, and it's being reviewed. I don't know that any of it's been approved yet, but I'm not sure. I don't know if other towns have been approved yet, but I do know
Well,
that
the other
there's-
towns, I understand Waterboro got like 400,000. Leamington got a little over 200,000. And I was wondering if we knew what was holding up ours. I know it was nowhere near what the other towns did, but
We have Ray come in. Didn't Ray prepare that?
I believe he did.
Why don't we have him come in and give a report on that, and
okay.
maybe...
When that
maybe
comes
on-
in, I assume that's going to go to the general fund? Will that go to the general fund? It won't come back to the accounts that it came out of, right?
Well, we had to pay it, so it had to get paid out of somewhere.
Yeah.
We probably should have been tracking it on a separate line, so we know what it is. So at least if, your account was overdrawn, we knew why. In the end, it's all the town's money. If those departments were able to absorb it, then the money will go back into the general fund, and as I don't think that we're gonna find that we overspent any of those accounts, because it was only $50,000.
I also did the accounting for the planning board, and I think you guys got a copy of it. And the main problems were the lawyer's bill that came out of there, and the planning board doesn't have a line for legal fees. The one that is really upsetting to me is the advertising. $1,310 came out of the planning board, and only $500 was planning board fee, advertising fees. So $810 belongs to other departments, and I don't know how to trace those back, so what the process will be. I do know, because Steve mentioned to me last Wednesday that evidently we paid for the appeals board advertising, and I think I mentioned it before, anybody that does an appeal in the town, according to the ordinance, the applicant pays the fees, all the fees, secretary's fees, anything to do with the appeal. And apparently that hasn't been followed over the years, but it really should be, because it is part of the ordinance. So we might want to look into that.
So it's going to be more crucial for 2025 that those amounts are tracked identically to where they belong because of the way we voted on those and I know that these might not be part of it. Because we have 14 articles now that were voted separate lines, like we legally can't overexpend those lines. If the planning board, because of the way they were lumped together with other departments, let's say.
Yeah, we were overdrawn.
If you're overdrawn for advertising and the selectmen's account is not, then they can wash
Okay.
for 2020, depending on where they were voted on for
Well, I don't
2024.
have to chase that $810.
Well, we should, because the idea is we want to get it correct, because when we go to budget next year, we don't want to give the planning board $1,300 for advertising when they only need $5. So,
Why can't the shopper's guide give us a breakdown of what?
I'm sure we have every shopper's guide bill. I mean, we can get, every shopper's guide bill has a copy of the ad with it, right?
Well, I copy the ad
You copy the
every
ads.
week that we get and then give them to Julie, so when the bill comes in.
Yeah.
So we can look at it and we can find where they went. It's
Yeah.
just a matter of somebody taking the time and going through back however many we had and breaking them out.
Okay. I think that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Okay, no more department reports. On to old business. Review of legal accounts. Didn't see any in there tonight. Nothing to review there. Cemetery mowing, Veteran Cemetery Committee, nothing on that department. And lights from the municipal building, the electrician is coming Friday at 10 a.m. And the revision of policies, please sign off on disbursement warrants for state fees and disbursements, and the warrant for the employee wages and benefits are going on the November ballot. And we got the review the purchase policy. We all have that. And we can go over those. And the review of the hearing of citizen policy.
So we back up just a little bit. They said the electrician's coming.
Coming Friday at
Where's
10
the
a.m.
bids?
No, so it's another electrician doing a bid.
Oh, so
He's coming to look
he's
at
coming to
it.
look at it, okay.
Yeah,
On
okay.
the disbursement ordinance, I know we talked about adding that to the November ballot, so are you following that ordinance for the time being then? Because I know you wanted to change the amount of signatures, and currently right now that only requires one select board signature. So I just want to make sure if we're following this ordinance for that time until November.
Well, we have to follow that time now until November.
Okay, but that's the plan, is to put it on the November ballot, correct?
Do we want to change it to 2?
So we know, and so the treasurer knows too, like, where we're at with this.
I would think with 5 of us, it should be 2. That way there's at least a second set of eyes. So I would recommend, so I'll make a motion that we do put the change on the November ballot for the warrant for employee wage and benefits to now include 2 signatures instead of 1.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? All right. And the purchase policy, any changes on that?
Well, if you look at that, we have 0 to 1,000 and 1,000 to 2,500. And both of those basically require, the requirements for those are basically the same. So we probably ought to change that to 0 to 2,500 and keep just one of the descriptions, because there really is, neither one of them required competitive bidding. They should be priced so the town gets the best value. Department heads can only approve their purchase if the goods or services were in their annual budget, and if not, the select board approves it. So those, the wording for both of those is basically the same. So we should change it and make it from 0 to $2,499.
That's too high, John.
Too high?
Yeah,
Okay,
I would go in maximum 2,000.
so you want, okay, so.
Well, the first one, you're gonna keep it the way it is, the 0 to 1,000.
Yeah, but 0 to 1,000 and 1,000, 2,500 are the same thing.
I realize that,
So let's change it from 0 to 2,000 or.
but the
no.
first one, competitive bidding.
Says the same thing, doesn't it?
There's no difference in those, there's a little more wording in the second one, but they say the same exact thing.
If you left the first one, the 0 to 1,000, up to the department head with approval from the board, you know, I'm thinking of the process, our purchase order process and everything. That
Well,
would make-
if it's in their budget, and the budget's been approved by the people, then why do they have to come to us to get another approval that the people have already approved to spend?
Last time I knew, we're still the overseers of that money.
Then let's do it and not get voted, let's just do it on our own and don't, I mean, the voters approve it. Why are we are the overseers, and when it gets spent, we approve it, but it's, and now there's a purchase order piece going with it too, which is fine, but if the voters approve it and the budget's out there and that item is in their budget, I mean, there's people buying stuff every day of the week that,
Julie, are they using the purchase orders?
Mostly, but they're still learning how to use them.
Okay.
Having that at that level, like they put, throw a curve in there, wouldn't that help you to see that you're spending down your line, so you know what it's exactly for, if you did have a level of purchase orders in there?
well, we definitely ought to, yes, we also should add, this purchasing policy should have the purchase order policy melded together into one. We shouldn't have two. You know, this somewhere here, you know, under 2,500 to 1,499, the bids or estimates are to be attached to the purchase order request and approved by the select board. Well, when this policy was in place, we didn't have a purchase order request. So, you know, I understand the select board to approve those larger expenses. I don't disagree with you, Howard, when it gets up into that type of number. But like I said, we ought to meld the purchase order policy together with this one.
But usually that's, I know, when I used to go through it at college, we had this similar situation, and it was left up to the department head could sign off on it, but anything over $1,000, actually, we were $1,500. Anything over $1,500, I'd have to go and get approval from the vice president of college, which in our case would be us, but
Well, we can, I mean, whatever anybody thinks, I'm just giving what I'm reading in my opinion, so.
Well, it does say that on 0 to 1,000, so department heads can approve the purchase if it includes in their budget or of an emergency nature.
And it says that in 1,000, 2,500 also. Department heads can approve the purchase of goods and services if this was present in their annual budget. So like I said, there's more words, but it reads the same thing.
would it be prudent to put this in a workshop situation so we could incorporate the purchase orders into this into one agreement?
Yeah, I mean, I would either add the purchase order policy as an addendum to this policy, or just add it right right at the end of it. I mean, I don't think we need,
That's where it is now, it's at the end of it.
well, but it's its own policy.
Right.
All purchase orders must be accompanied by an approved,
We added those few things when we started our purchase policy. That's when this was signed back in August.
but we also have a purchase order policy, don't we?
Yeah.
Didn't we come up with one?
We added those few things to this to coincide with.
Yeah, but the problem with that is,
Saying we could certainly add
if-
together.
yeah, the only, this talks about, the only area where it talks about a purchase order is up above when it's something from $2,500 to $1,499. And we certainly want the purchase order policy to fall in place for things smaller than that. Right, we're doing it for virtually every expense to speak of, right?
Doesn't it say that there? It says all purchases must be compared with an approved signed purchase order?
It does, but if you look up above, in the dollar amounts, it doesn't mention it. It specifically mentions it in the $2,500 to $1,499, but doesn't mention it anywhere above.
Well, do we want to put this, have a workshop and go over this? And
I think that'd be the best thing to do at this point.
All right, well, we might as well
We gotta incorporate-
schedule it right
We gotta
now.
incorporate the purchase orders and stuff into this more, I think.
Okay, so do you want to wait till next week and set it up, or set it up right now?
Well, I'm the first one to admit I'm as guilty as anybody is seeing this come up on the agenda tonight and kind of looking at it last minute. But
Yeah.
I think if myself, and I'm not going to speak for anybody else, if I did my homework better and took this home this week, we should be able to go through this at a meeting and bring back our recommendations in writing and talk about them at the meeting, and then come up with the solution and the answers that we want and put it to bed. We should be doing one of these at a time. So I think if we all actually took this home with us printed and spent the time working on it that I know I didn't, that I will, and come up with the changes that I think, and everybody else does the same, we can do it all right at a meeting.
Okay, well, we'll just put this off to next week, and we'll
Keep
go
it
over it
on-
next week, keep it on the agenda.
Alicia, can you send us a copy of this electronically?
All right,
They're all on the website too, for anybody that wants to know. They're all listed.
She can send it with edit privileges, and we could edit what we want.
okay, the hearing of citizen policy.
I would put that, I would leave that, but that should be the next one we look at. But let's finish one before we
Okay,
delve into two, is my thought.
all righty. We'll move on. Quotes for tree removal, they're on hold. And Alicia, what is STM?
What was that?
STM.
Oh, special town meeting,
Okay.
sorry.
Or do you want me to wait for the citizens?
Well, we just want to, we'll wait to the hearing of citizens. All right, thank you. Town-owned property snowplow contract update, John.
All right, so we voted last week to enter into a one-year contract with R.C. Richardson for the town-owned properties. I incorrectly quoted a housekeeping article that has been in the past in our housekeeping articles where board is allowed to enter into a contract up to 1 year. This last vote, it was not in there. It hasn't been in there for a couple of years. Nobody remembers taking it out, but it hasn't been in there for whatever reason. So we need to decide that, but if we look at our purchase policy, we do have an exemption from bidding right in the purchase policy, which says, the select board recognizes that certain goods or services will continue to provide by certain contractors each year, and that no annual bidding for such goods or services are necessary. However, this assumes good customer service and competitive pricing by such contractors. The select board may decide to go out to bid for such services if concerns arise with vendors. All vendors must supply the town with proof of insurance if required by the select board. Well, this certainly covers us for that contract, because I don't think there was any question that we received good customer service. That was agreed by everybody. And it says competitive pricing is provided. We're getting the same price that we got last year. So even though when I made the motion last week, I was thinking of the article that's usually in the housekeeping, and that was a mistake on my part. We do have the exemption from here. So I think we're still on solid ground in signing that contract, but I just wanted it to be clear where it came from.
Okay. The electronic,
Put some hands up. I don't know if you want to wait or...
well, we just... Well, we just told Cheryl, so
Yeah, that-
we'll have a time at
she's
the
coming
end.
anyways.
Just a question on that renewal for yearly. I've been doing some research, and I was led to believe that the contract, to be able to do that, extend it for a year, it has to be in the previous contract to allow that. It's supposed to be written in the contract, the one that's already been signed, that it can be extended for 1 year only. Am I correct or not?
I'm not aware of that, but
I don't know where you got that from.
Oh, okay. I just, like I say,
So-
I'll do some more digging and bring it back then. Okay, thank you.
You've opened it up now.
I was going to delay this because you're going to have a workshop, but you just brought up that policy again. And when I read the exemptions from bidding, the select board recognizes that certain goods or services, and it's in quote, in parentheses, legal, plumbing, electrical, surveyor, and others will continue to be provided by certain contractors each year, and that no annual bidding for such goods or services is necessary. What it sounds like is that for services that have an hourly fee that you really don't negotiate, that's what that exception is for, not for the other big ticket items, the way I read it. And so if it's used, and I have no problem with the particular quality of service for the municipal plowing. However, this is a repeated issue because it happened with the trash collection and it happened with the snowplow contract for the sidewalks. So I don't interpret it the same way. So if you're going to change your policy in that workshop, then that, I think, should be included. However, if you don't have that changed policy right now, your policy doesn't read for annual service. It's for ones that don't even require bids. So I'm sorry that I don't interpret it the same way, that you have the full latitude to do whatever you want to do.
Well, they are providing a good or a service, right?
That's,
And they would be considered other.
however, that comes in, that follows the statement that's in the first sentence. So yes, if an electrician were providing lousy service, that's why I think that criteria is in there. If you have Smith & Son and you decide you've been using them for years and they suddenly provide a poor service, that would bring that contract, or not contract, but that person's usage into question. It's not. Again, I'm just reading what I see, and maybe I don't understand English very well, but that's how I interpret that policy.
Okay. All right. Did we go over their time clock?
What's that?
The electric time clock? Okay, we all should have an email. Please review from CTR Maine.
Can you get some, there was no pricing in there.
Well, I think that there are a few different options in there. I think he would give direction on pricing if we gave him a little more.
Did we find him from, was he referred to us from?
That is the one, but it's also who we buy our time cards through. Like I've dealt with that company, and that's who we purchase our, that's where we got our time clock now.
Do they deal with our current payroll company at all?
I don't know, I could ask.
Well, let's find that out first.
So the other MRI did get back to me, and it's a demo that she needs to set up, and we would view, like, it's not just an email that she'll send, it's a demo that she'll set up with us to watch, basically with them, so. But this is different.
Yeah, I'd like to know if this company deals with our payroll company at all now. So if they're interfacing together nicely. And we're not going to hear, well, their format isn't something we like. And then get some cost. And is MRI willing to come in and do that demonstration for us?
Yeah.
I would say we should plan it.
Okay. Progress of the sale of the Moore Building. We'll have a draft deed by Friday. So. Discussion of new attorney, we had one, and at least one more coming, and it's from Woodman Edmonds, and we can review that and discuss that after the next one comes in. Municipal parking lot paving update, Bernie and Howard.
Okay, we had a quick meeting between the four of us tonight just to look the parking lot over. Howard and I have got the paperwork done for the request for proposal and the scope of work to go out to the engineer. We just have to sit down and decide when we want to send it out and go from there. There's no way we're going to get that engineered and ready to pave this year. And I think the cost is going to be a lot more than just putting a top coat of pavement on that. There's a lot of under drain and everything that has to go, so I think when we get the proposals back, we will get a set of plans, or whoever we pick will develop a set of plans. They work with the state to pipe the water into the state's under drain down the street and take care of that. It's just, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of money. So we may not be able to do it for a couple of years, but that's where we're at this point.
Okay.
And we've also talked that the parking situation, even though we put the area, do the parking lot out back, it may be in the town's best interest to look about doing something out front, as far as putting two lanes, two strips of parking out there, because who knows what's going to happen as far as meetings here or whatever, and we've already seen one influx of, we didn't have enough parking spots, so I don't think we should probably do it now, because maybe this is something we think about down the road. We do have a mess out back that's got to be taken care of, but the question is like Bernie says, it's not going to be cheap, no matter how we look at it, because there's a lot of crap that's going to be dug out of that parking lot, and then a good solid fill put in, and then hot topped, and well, of course, we get a lot of utilities got to go out there too, and the drainage is horrendous out there, so it's just going to take a lot of engineering.
Okay.
Are you considering using any of that field for parking?
Not right now,
Why would you do the front then?
just because if you looked at both those areas, which we talked about it just briefly, but it's much easier, an excavation job out front than it would be up, that field's got some wet spots in it. Not only that, we got ledge up there, and that's very expensive to work with. Out front would be a lot easier for plowing and everything else. So,
What we did, Gail, we put in the paperwork for the engineering firm to give us some options for the best use of what we have.
That's wonderful, thank you. That's a good answer, great.
Glad you approve.
okay.
I like grass.
Hey, Steve.
With that being said, that's okay, but can we get some patchwork, like out front here before somebody breaks their neck?
Stevie, as soon as the plan opens up, Stevie and Ricky and Charles are gonna patch up where they dug up on the water line and try and patch
Just
some of the
so we
holes
get rid
in.
of some of the trip hazards there
That-
before it gets
that's-
too long.
Okay, the update on the Brick Town Hall basement and old fire station. Vernon.
Finally got a hold of Clean Harbors today. I sent them the MSDS sheets on the firefighting foam. We got a vat there. We don't know if it's a caustic, if it's acid, so they have to send somebody out to test it. So they're working on that, and they have to get us an estimate on what it's going to cost to take care of it. So until they come out and do that,
Okay.
we're dead in the water.
All right, update on bonding of employees. We got an email from MMA. Should be in a... Okay, this says the following bonds are provided under the faithful performance of duty extension are subject to the following limits: general assistance, 100,000, road commissioner, 100,000, and constable, 500. So, okay. Insurance for all town buildings, update.
That's almost complete. It'll get into MMA in the next couple of days. We did receive, as Julie said, from the auditor, the fixed assets report, so we'll be able to use both of those to, we'll use one to finish the other. So,
Okay, and discussion of the special town meeting. Items to add. Tree removal, auditor, and anything else we may need to move.
well, until we get an updated 2025 expense report, I don't know that we can make that decision.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay. All right, we have a list, appointments for the revitalization committee. Would you please put on the agenda for Monday a request for appointments for the revitalization committee? Joanne Andrews, Stephanie Bishop, Dean LePage, Gail Libby, Martha Hamilton Smith, and Wendy Thorne. Oh, and the select board liaison is Howard Burnham.
That's wrong.
That's wrong?
I think Howard dropped that, and I believe Brady took it.
Brady took it? Okay.
And since he can't speak for himself, I'll just put his name down.
Okay.
So I think they need to be appointed in her motion.
So I make a motion, we appoint the named persons to the revitalization committee.
Okay.
Second motion.
Second, all in favor? Okay. And update of the overlook cameras.
So they came back with a price that would work up there on a cellular system, but it did not include a credit for the monies we've paid them for the system that isn't working. So I told them that, you know, if we're gonna do anything, I can't recommend we do it with the same company, but they're going back to see, the gentleman I'm dealing with was gonna run it up the flagpole and see if he could get some approval to give us some sort of credit towards what we've already paid. But if they don't do anything, then we'll just have to go with a different company.
Yeah.
It's like
If they're not going to make it
they put in
right.
a system that didn't work, and if they're not gonna make good on it, then
I've got a question. Why are we even having a camera up there?
well, there has been vandalism up there in the past, and when the camera was working, it did catch the vandals.
You actually know who it was?
The vandals? Yep.
Okay.
We got together, the police met with them and met with their parents, and there were 3 juveniles, and after agreeing with the select board at the time and the sheriff's deputy, all 3 went up and spent 2 or 3 weekends cleaning all 3 of our lots and all the trash that was up there in exchange for their act wasn't, there was vandals before who tipped over the granite monument, and that's when I think the camera went in. These kids just stole the yellow cement coverings. We got them back, and they spent a couple weekends cleaning up trash, so.
Okay. How are the cameras at the ball field?
I think, I know I'm not dealing with that, but Greg, I believe is, and did he get some SIM cards for those, do you know, were they?
We have SIM cards, but they were the wrong ones, so we are sending them back. And I think Julie's gonna add me to Verizon so I can deal with that.
What was wrong, were they the wrong?
They were connected to phone numbers, town cell phone numbers, so once you activate, they would deactivate those numbers.
They were connected to existing town phone numbers? Oh, okay.
Okay, moving on to new business, flags on Main and Washington Street. Do we want all of Washington or part or all of Maine? And all of Maine.
To get all of it, it says we need to order 40 flags, 40 poles, and 15 brackets.
That's straight down Washington, all the way, and all of Maine.
Any idea what that'll cost?
No. Not yet.
Well, we can,
Can we get a cost by next week?
It'd be, yeah, I mean, I think it'd be nice to have both streets done when you drive through towns that have every pole, it kind of sticks out. I think it'd be nice to have them all done.
yep.
If you want every pole, you're gonna need more than 40, because
Well, it's
that's
the
the
poles that
problem.
either have brackets or were approved to have brackets before, so maybe it's a bracket, it's not new poles, but it's the ones that had them
Before, yeah.
before, so, but that went down to Washington, so,
Okay,
but it's not every single pole.
all right.
Okay. Locking of the municipal doors. I guess there was some discussion on whether to open the doors or to leave it like it is. And we've got back in the minutes of January 27th, 2025, 90% of the building employees want to keep the front doors locked and keep the side door for the only entrance into the building.
That was also doing when we had a threat too, right?
well, to do with a threat, but anybody that wants to get in the building, they have, if someone wanted to get in the side door, they have a key. So, yes, you can.
We have had complaints from some of the elderly people who like coming in them front doors, keep asking us over and over, when you're gonna start unlocking the doors. Again, we told them we had them locked because there was some threats made by a certain individual. Over time, again, with the parking lot out back, the more activities you have on in this building, the more it's starting to get harder to find a place to park, even working here. The only other option you have would be out front. I myself, who was threatened by this certain person, I can't see the sense in locking those front doors and they're coming into the lobby door. They're gonna be in here before you even know that they came in the door. Like I said, I feel we should leave them unlocked. I mean, if it's that scary or that threat, then we probably ought to have a security guard monitoring the doors or a camera all day long. Because we have got on our monitors, we can see what's going on coming in and out. But we're not here. The ones that monitor on their computers to see, they're not here all the time. So I said they'd come right to the lobby now. And you wouldn't know till they were in here that they're here, so. And like I said, a lot of it is why the door. Like I said, they're constantly asking us. I'm not mentioning names in town, but they've been here for a long time and they just like coming in the front. They'd rather park out there than park way out here. They'd have to walk all the way around to get to the lobby. But mail the same way. They bring us now, we have mail delivery for our license plates. So sometimes they bring them into us, and they park out front, of course, and they have to walk around the lobby with the plates and stuff. I just think but again, that's my feel.
May I speak?
Yes, you may.
So when I ask people in the building, there are a couple of different things. For one, felt like we've done this for well over a year. So at this point, you have come, you know which door to go in and out. The one concern from the library was on the night that she leaves by herself. It's nice, she has one door to lock. She doesn't have to come and check and make sure that these doors got locked on the way out. And if somebody was there or is just in her head right now, she has one door, the door that she goes out is the only door that she has to lock. Julie and I had a discussion the day that I am not here. When she's here alone, it's nice that that person or whoever comes by the clerk's office. They can't come in this way and just go straight to her office, being the only one down there. There's one other thing I was going to say. I know that when we talked about it in January, like I said, 95%, everybody else in the building, except for our tax collector, town clerk, didn't have an opinion on wanting it locked. So, and you can say our threat is gone, and yes, I realize that anybody can come in the buildings, but there can always be a threat, and anytime. So, and the four other, actually, that's what I was gonna say, is four other town offices around us only have one entrance in. They don't have multiple entrances into their buildings. So, that'd be my.
It seems to be the wave of public buildings, that most of you go, there's one way in and.
One way out.
Well, multiple ways out for fires, but, it's, I guess I don't I don't see the harm in keeping the doors locked, that it, I think that there's no real negative to it, I guess.
I think that they ought to be unlocked for simple reasons, for the convenience of the people using this building. If there is ever another threat, so to speak, then we'd have to consider going to a lockdown, but that problem, so to speak, is not in town anymore. So I think we ought to keep them open.
I think at the time there was two reasons. One is not being able to monitor this back stairway up to the library. There's no way to monitor it if you come in that door there. And another one is we had an elderly person that fell flat on their face coming up the stairs, the first set of stairs from the lobby up. And they really probably would rather use, I would think the elderly would rather use the elevator. That's what it's for. But there were two other reasons that we did it. And mainly it was this monitoring this hallway going upstairs. There was no way to monitor it.
Okay. Mary. Judy?
We did offer to unlock the doors when we came in at 9 in the morning. Then when we go home at night, we would relock them if it's just the library open or a couple people hanging out. Again, this monitoring, the ones that monitor aren't here all day, so nobody's monitoring. And like I said, on this side over here, you got all this back parking lot's horrible. I'm surprised somebody hasn't already stumbled going down to play cards. It's no different than up front. You can do what you want.
It sounds like there could be some compromise, a middle position. Cindy being the only one in the building on an evening, I could see how it makes sense for her to feel a little more comfortable with only one door to have to monitor or to lock up. But unless you're going to have security where you're buzzing people in the building, the whole building is open. If there is a absent camera in a stairwell, which is shocking because we've talked about nothing but cameras for several years, then perhaps you need to have a camera in a stairwell if you're worried about that, or if that one door is left closed. But if there's a number of people who have talked to the clerk's office saying, why can't we have access that way? I don't see what you're gaining by putting it to the end, except if one or two employees is uncomfortable. I think the discomfort came from an old trauma, and I think that would be something that doesn't necessarily work best for public interest, which would go along with what
So why
Mr.
are
Brennan
most
just
other
said.
governmental buildings why is every other governmental building around doing it? Schools, offices?
Well, I can...
They're all, it's being done
So I'll
all
only use the
around
ones
us.
that I've seen. So when I walk to Lyman, in Lyman's office, there's only one door. They must have a back door for fire escapes. However, it's one big door. It's the only one you see. Anywhere you park there, you don't see any other door. In Kennebunk, there's only other way to get into that town office would be as if you went through the auditorium to get to one of the back stairs in order to go up there. Otherwise, that's their only access. I don't have 10 other towns, so perhaps you have 10 other examples that would counter that. But I think it's the design of the building. This was designed as a school back in a different day. But if you're gonna really think you have security, then why don't you just start buzzing everyone in? Because that's really what you're trying to imply by having one open door, that you're controlling something to make for safety. And unfortunately, that's just not true. Thanks.
Anyone else? Oh, we can either...
Ready to vote.
Okay.
It's been voted on once already, right?
Well, not with the motion and second, so now it can be official.
It wasn't voted on when we locked them?
I walked around and asked everybody, and 95% of the building had the doors locked. But then when, last week, the doors were unlocked and signs were ripped off with arrows, and decisions were made, that's why we're back where we're at, so just so that we'll know.
I'll just have it there, we're in front of us,
We'll know where, send it my way, I would love to talk. Everybody can be on the same page, so. Judy, go to the mic, please. If you want to talk about my hours, go to the mic and tell everybody.
I'm just saying,
Go
everybody
ahead.
around here, they aren't hear all that.
And that's fine, Judy, I asked 95% of the building, and I'm saying everybody else wanted them locked except for you. So, well, you're not happy with that. That's why I'm asking them to vote on it.
Go ahead and lock them.
And if they're not locked, then we'll be fine with it. We'll move on, we'll be able to move on.
Why didn't you put it up to the voters to vote on it? See how they, I don't, that way they will stop.
Put it on the November ballot?
Yeah.
Special town meeting, we always.
We can do it on a special town meeting. I'm okay with that, then we can go to meet once a month. Let's have a special town meeting once a month. And then we can meet once a month. I make a motion the doors stay locked, except for the one entrance door in the end. I made the motion. If anybody wants to vote for it, vote for it. If not,
I'll
you
second
can't make
that.
a negative motion, so I can't make a motion to keep them unlocked. It's gotta be a positive motion. So I make a motion, we keep them locked.
Leave a different door unlocked?
A different door?
Yeah. I come here and I take your clothes and I say, oh yeah, I gotta walk all the way around the other side of the building.
Just
Well, it's been a year.
Could we leave one
Well,
over?
we need a motion, we got a motion, we need a second.
I seconded it.
All right, now we can have,
Now we can have a discussion. If the majority of the people that work in this building don't feel safe, something's wrong somewhere. We can't unlock one door down on that end of the building where everybody comes in? Leave this one closed?
what do you mean? That's what it is now.
No. You got the handicap entrance coming in. Open the other one down there.
It's 4 feet away. I mean, what difference that door gonna make? If you're gonna open up that one, then, I mean, if somebody can walk to that one, they can certainly walk to the one 4 feet around the corner. If you're gonna open that one,
Just trying to the people in here want to be safe. That's what I'm concerned about. If my wife worked here and she felt unsafe, I'd be a little concerned.
yeah, I
And
don't
you
disagree.
probably would too, and I
I
think
know, I don't
everybody else
disagree with you. I
would.
mean, there are,
Do I feel secure now? No. Because like I said, we don't know until we walk in the hallway, and somebody can get in the back.
Okay.
there has been, I mean, none of us know what's gonna happen, but, there has been talk about having these doors open after dark. Somebody could come in and hide in the hallway, in the stairway. That's a possibility. I mean, I know anything's possible. We can throw it in.
Harm someone here, they can walk
They're
through
gonna
that
do it.
door. Now you're
They
saying
can,
you brought in
but everybody,
cameras in that stairwell?
everybody with a computer has the ability to monitor that door that's.
Roddy and Stan are the ones that usually monitor, and they leave at 2, 3 o'clock.
Do you have the ability in your office, Judy?
Yeah, it's on one computer that's at the window.
Okay,
I'm not gonna stand all day and that monitor every second.
we talked about putting in one large one that everybody could see, something like the size of that, but I'm just saying that you could have the ability to monitor it.
Does it monitor that side door where they're coming in?
It is, yeah,
It is.
it is. They have the ability to see that in their office.
Is the glass that they're now behind bulletproof glass?
No, I don't know that, and they're not armed. I mean, there's a big space.
It still should be bulletproof. That glass should be
Because
bulletproof.
if you get shot going from here, up to the back lot.
That's true too.
But
Just wait outside.
during the day, anyone can come in this building, even through the side entrance, and they can find a little place to stay.
Right, exactly.
And something can happen.
Yeah, they could take the
after
elevator to the
fact.
basement.
That's right.
They could take the elevator to the basement.
Good, then walk up the stairs.
And they could spend the night down there. They could probably get a couple nights down there, nobody would even know.
If somebody wants to do harm to somebody,
You probably could.
If someone wants to do harm to somebody, they're gonna find a way.
They probably won't come in the building, they'll wait outside.
You never know, but I don't think locking the doors is the answer. They wanna come in.
Okay. We had a motion and a second. All in favor of leaving the doors locked?
Go to the front door, stand and it's raining.
Did you call for a vote?
Yeah, I said we had a motion and a second. All in favor of leaving the doors locked? All opposed? Okay. All right.
Stays the same, don't they?
What? Well, we never had a vote before, so it was just done by consensus.
All right. Discuss the paving bid.
What's that?
What does that mean?
That means they would stay open.
They're unlocked? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Discuss the paving bid. John?
So we need to go out, Rick, you're prepared to go out to bid for road paving? Okay. So one of the concerns with Allstate was that we go out to bid late, and that's why we get pushed to the end. So we need to go out to bid like right away. So I make a motion that the road commissioner draw up the bid proposal and get it to Alicia to put into the next possible edition of the shopping guide and anywhere else it can go, and have it sent out to the normal 3 or 4 paving companies that we send it to. And what's today's date? 22nd?
22nd.
And we have it back by the 5th. Have the bids due by the 5th. Today's the 22nd. So it can go in, how quick can you get that ready, Rick? Yeah, so we can tell you what roads and the distance.
No, we've already taken a field trip.
So,
I can have it to you
next
next week.
week?
I need it Monday by noon.
Needs it Monday by noon to go into the shopping guide.
You gotta have time for them to call and look at this stuff, too.
You gotta give them a few weeks to.
Or at least a week.
Well, if we get it, I mean, we're gonna send, if you get it to her Monday, she can put it in the shopping guide, but you can also immediately email it, fax it, whatever, we can get a list of, there's only so many around that are gonna do it. We can send it out to them. I mean, time is of the essence, because we wanna get on somebody's list, so we're not running into the same problem we ran into the last couple of years. So, if they wanna bid, they get it back by the 5th. If they don't, too bad.
Rick, have they got a solution for Rangy Road? Looks like it's all washboarding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Charlie, Rick Richardson, Charlie was up here and discussed repairing that washboard. That's the first road that they want to do when the plant opens, is to address that, because that money was carried over from last year. They do have a plan in place, and they want to take care of that first thing.
They're gonna grind it, they're gonna repave over it?
He said he wants to shim it first, get the washboard out of it, then he wants to overlay the whole thing. That was his plan.
Okay, I thought he was just gonna overlay it, and then we'd be right back in the same thing again if he...
Because he wants to shim it with a certain mix first, and
Yep.
then overlay the whole section that they ground from the bottom of Taylor's Hill to Route 5.
What about the dip that's up on the top there on the level part?
The dip's gone. That was a frost heave.
Okay.
We looked at that.
Are they gonna pay for it? Like, the town doesn't have to pay for it.
It's left over from last year.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Yeah, remember the 53,000 that was carried over?
Yeah.
That's to repair and finish the Rangy Road project. That's a culvert. That was
Okay.
put in years ago, and it was a great big crater, and now we talked about cutting it out and repairing it. I think it's gonna do it again, though.
And we ought
Is
to
the
look at
culvert
that
still there?
now.
Is the culvert still
It's an
there?
old culvert back probably 40, 50 years ago, and I think it's collapsed, but it dropped down considerably.
When we fix it.
I mean, if we
Well, I
can
was
cut
gonna-
that out,
I
we
was
ought to
gonna
at least
talk to-
try.
I was gonna talk to Charlie and see if we couldn't saw cut that out and fix it before they
go over it.
surfaced it.
I mean, that's not their fault. So even if that's something we do, it makes sense to try to get it not to come back.
It's just part of the old road that every year they pave it, it gets a little bit wider and wider.
Doing after the patching is never gonna be right.
So we either deal with it now, and hopefully it doesn't come back, which it most possibly could, or we saw cut it out and fix it.
If the culvert's 40, 50 years old, why don't you just cut it out, compact around it, and pave it, and then when they come do the overlay, they'll have it, so it's fine.
That's what we talked about, I just want to
I
get
would
your
think that
input
would
on
be
it.
the way to go, do it right and forget it.
Perfect.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we had someone that would like to be appointed to the Zoning Board of Appeals, Wendy Farren.
I make a motion we appoint Wendy Farren to the zoning board of appeals.
I'll second it.
Motion.
All right, all in favor? Okay. Hearing of citizens.
Walter Ricker. I guess we're probably, everybody can use a little more money, right? So I just had some ideas and maybe how we could come up with some. I'm wondering if we could implement a $15 addition to every tax bill to go towards the dump. Have that go towards that for their budget. And in return for that, maybe we could let the citizens bring in brush for free to a certain extent. Obviously, if you're a landscaper, you'd still be charged. It would be up to the attendant's discretion. But if you added $15 to roughly 2,300 tax bills, that give us a pretty good little budget there that you know to start with, right? You guys, what do you think of that?
How much do it cost to get rid of the brush every year, Joanne, roughly?
Last year it cost us $12,000.
That puts us in a positive a little bit. We could be able to bank some, because the bigger the town gets, the busier that place is gonna get. So maybe we can start putting a little in there now, you know? And another thing was, what do you guys got, 59, 60 acres over there? When's the last time that anybody had gone in there and logged that off?
Where?
The dump
8, 10 years,
property.
in the last 10 years, I think.
So is it worth checking out to see if there's anything can be pulled out of there?
I don't think there's anything in there. That was,
60 acres, no?
no, that
Nothing in
was, no, well, you probably could get some chips.
That's it? And how do you guys feel about not heating the town hall and the old fire station this coming season?
We didn't heat the old fire station last year.
Yeah, we closed that
We
down.
closed, no, it was closed off and drained.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
The
about
old-
the
the
brick
old
town
fire
hall?
station.
What if we shut that down too? What did we spend there on heating oil this winter?
Yeah.
The problem is it's sprinkled. So we'd have, I don't know if we'd have to antifreeze.
No, it's a dry
system.
it's a dry system.
Oh, then-
You just have to keep the valve down below where it comes in. That's the other caveat, I think.
I mean, maybe we could try that for a couple of years. I know it's nickels and dimes, but it's gonna add up. I mean, it seems like we're, like you say, you got a big project going out here, right? So, another thing that I was thinking was, if you guys get a developer that comes in this town and builds a subdivision, we ought to start hitting them with an impact fee. They come in here and they put in 3 houses, 6 houses, 12 houses. Each one of those houses have kids, more roads for us to maintain. we should lay out a plan for that. Because right now, they come in from any town they want, make hundreds of thousands of dollars here, and walk away and leave us holding the bag. So, I mean, that can add up, you know?
Well, Arrowhead's already doing it. They have been doing it for years.
Every town I've ever worked with have impact fees. And we should. It only makes sense, right? Because regular taxpayers are getting stuck with it, and they're walking out. So I think that, and I think you see that little $15 will add up, if we can get that on each tax bill. You know, that's $34.5, right there to start with. We don't want to do it with the cars, or if your registration, because we want every tax bill, because that's the number we got to work off of.
Well, now you just, I get it, now you're just taxing everybody for, you're trying to save people tax money, but you just added $15 to their tax bill.
But they're getting the brush, you can deliver brush to the dump for free.
And,
You're
and
getting
some people
something.
will get a real benefit from that, and some people aren't gonna get any benefit, right? I'd rather, and
It's
I'm not
$15.
against, I get it. I know, like Bridgeton, for instance, every year when you get a tax bill, there's a coupon in there that says you can dump 2 tires, 6 yards of brush, and a yard of dump. They give you a coupon that you can turn in when you bring it. I'd rather see us keep the tax bill the same and let's find a way to absorb the brush and let people bring brush for free.
Thing with the
It only costs
$15 is-
$12,000 to get rid of.
Well, I know, but the thing is to build the kitty up so that when we get to where we need that money, like that $80,000 compactor, we're not going to the taxpayers and look, a lot of it's gonna be in that kitty. You're gonna, in a couple of years, that's gonna add up, you know?
Isn't the town of Limerick on the warden's report and you can burn brush?
Yeah, sometimes. You can, I'm not, I like the outside the box thing, don't get me wrong. I would think if it cost us $12,000 to get rid of all the brush last year, that we need to control commercial people, and I think you know who they are, right?
You can still charge them. That's
You
what
can still
I'm saying.
charge the commercial people.
Right.
I mean,
I mean,
the
you give
answer to
them-
the transfer station is a scale.
It's nice to be able to, you know, you're cleaning your yard up, you don't gotta worry about it, and it's less stress on them.
Yeah, and they're not dumping it.
Hey, we already paid that in the tax bill, you go down there, dump the load.
And dump your, yeah, I mean, it's gonna save people dumping them on the back roads, because that's what, you know, when people go down and they gotta pay for brush, they find somebody.
You guys toss it around with Joanne, and I mean, to me,
Charge people that just have land, so
it's just an idea.
What's that?
you're gonna be charging people by the tax bill. They might just have water.
Yeah, people that never come up. I mean, I'd rather see the transfer, I hear what you're saying, I'd rather see the transfer station be,
And it'd be nice that she knows that in the beginning of the year, well, she already knows, she actually has something to start with. She's not guessing, right? She can say, well, I know I'm gonna have this much, and then maybe more as she goes. It's okay to gain a little. You're giving the residents something.
Why can't you have the fire department do a controlled burn once, whatever?
we can't run the brush trail down there.
You can't burn brush.
No.
You burn it in your backyard.
We can burn the brush, but we can only let the ash accumulate 6 inches. Then you have to store it in an enclosed container until you get a load. Once you get a load, it has to be tested, and then you have to take it to Bangor as hazardous waste. And I don't have to tell you, every step you make is going to cost you money. So it isn't worth it. We just started charging 2 years ago for brush. A lot of it was because of the contractors that were bringing in. They were clearing entire lots and hauling it down there. But the average person, they might bring a half a pickup load, maybe $5, or $10 for a 6-foot pickup. Nobody complains.
The amount of money you brought in for that brush, did that pay for getting rid of it?
No. No, it still doesn't pay for it.
What percentage do you think we're eating, so to speak?
Probably 60%. But the alternative is don't take it. And then what's going to happen? Somebody's going to stop burning brush in Lake Arrowhead and burn the place down. That was always Sonny's big thing. Take the brush down there. Don't let people burn. Because if it ever got going down Lake Arrowhead, especially where they don't allow you to cut trees,
We already had fires down there.
it'd be, yeah.
So we just pay to have it chipped and they take it away, right? We pay to have it chipped
Yep.
and they haul it away.
And they haul it away and they give us a discount for grinding because they take the chips.
They take the chips. Then they go sell them. Then they sell them.
Almost
Back to us for the
400
playground.
400 tons, was it? I think they ground up like between 400 and 500 tons of brush. But that was the big year.
Yeah.
So ordinarily, it would cost maybe 6,000, but last year it was 12. But in a normal year, it would be about 6.
Okay, anyone else? Oh.
So I'm going to start off by saying that I am fully aware that the Water and Sewer District is a separate department from this body, but I'm looking for some advice. So, as most people know, I am the one who bought the house across the street, 62 Washington Street. I had to spend thousands of dollars to get the former tenant removed. I hired a law firm out of Sanford to do that. It went beyond the eviction because she kept trying to reopen the case, kept sending stuff to the courts. Eventually, the judge kept denying everything, and it looks like it's come to an end. The very next day after she was removed by the state police, I was handed a letter in the code enforcement officer's office condemning the house and the garage. So all of a sudden, I've spent all this money, I've purchased the property from the town, and now I have a property that's worth $0. So after that happened, I started looking at what do I do? I had decided that I would consult with Vinnie, the fire chief, about burning the house down, and so that has become a long process. It was supposed to happen on the 12th of April, and because I was told by several people in town, some officials, everybody in town's watching you. They're waiting for you to burn that down because we know there's probably lead and asbestos there. So I started working with Vinnie, and he invited the DEP to come to the property, I think on April 3rd. I'm not sure of that, but it was the beginning of this month. And I ended up meeting with all of these people from the DEP. So we had Michael Parker, who was from asbestos and the lead program. I had Hillary Whitcomb, who was with the Bureau of Air Quality. I had Galen Nickerson, I believe from Limerick, who is with the water quality, and Derek DeCastro, who took Eric Hamlin, everybody knows Eric Hamlin, took his place as solid waste. So we all met there, we had a good meeting, we went through the entire house, we got a lot of good news. Air quality was fine, said they don't see any problems. Water quality said I was far enough from Secocas Lake, they didn't see any problems. Solid waste said because it was a residence and only a residence, not a commercial property, apparently you're under different rules, very different than if it was commercial. So if we burned it down, I wouldn't have to test the ash, and I would be able to bury it. But the one problem was Mr. Parker, Michael Parker, was with asbestos and lead. He said he saw absolutely nothing suspect in the house that would indicate lead. There's nothing painted in there. There's some paneling, and most of the rest of the house had been gutted. There was new insulation, and there were blankets that were stapled up on all the studs around the entire, all the rooms. I don't know if anyone here has been in the house. It's pretty well gutted. So last week, I received a water bill. And I'm like, the very first thing I did the day after she was removed by the state police, no, actually it was the same day, because the police were there when Aaron Carroll was there turning the water off to the place, because I didn't want that, especially if I was going to burn it down, I didn't want the water to be still turned on. So he came and was successfully able to turn the water off without having to replace the shutoff, which I had been told was broken, but apparently it was fine. So I received a water bill in the mail, and I wish I'd found it to bring tonight, but I didn't have time to look for it. So I don't remember what it was, but it was quite a bit more than I expected. And especially since there's been absolutely no water on there, and no sewer. What she was doing is she had filled the bathtub. She was using a bucket to flush the toilet. So she was using the septic, but it wasn't working on its own, because she hasn't had power there, I think, for about 13 years. I don't know exactly when that time is, but there was no power there. So what I'm asking is, I've got this condemned house. I can't rent it. I could probably spend $100,000 and make it livable again. That's if I could get the fact that it has been condemned removed from the file. I could put some homeless people there, and we could turn the water back on, but I don't know, can't do that either because it's condemned. So at the moment, we can't tear it down because we're waiting for an asbestos report to come back. They think possibly one side of the roof has asbestos, which would be the side facing uptown. The other side is all shingles that were replaced when she had a fire there. There's still a lot of brand new windows in the house that were put in at that time, and most of the wood, there's just a few remnants of when there was a fire. There's a few pieces of wood that are charred from the fire. They had to replace that side, the other side of the roof, because they had cut a big hole in the roof to put the fire out. So my plan is, I've been working with Vinnie for a couple months now, is to try to get this asbestos report to see what the story is with one side of the roof, and to allow the town to do this as a controlled burn and to use it as a practice. And I think the plan is to have 7 different towns involved in this. So right now, my question is, and I know that you're not the water district, am I going to have to keep paying this bill every month on a house I can't even rent or live in, or?
I have a suggestion. Why, if the water's shut off, why don't they just charge you a readiness to serve charge? You shouldn't have to pay a full water bill.
What is a readiness? I understand what you're saying, because I've researched this, and this could go either way. Some say it's not okay, others say it is. I think it probably depends on the policy of each.
I thought it was a state law. If a utility ran by your house, even if you had a well, you had to pay readiness to serve charge.
There's a lot between us and the transmission guy. And there's a lot there, right away into it. You ain't been over there to serve, because it was like.
I
It's
don't
gotta be a
know.
building.
It's gotta,
Once there's a building.
Okay, so what happens when my building is down? What happens then? I'm still going to get a water bill?
you should just
Because
pay
it's coming
readiness.
down hopefully soon.
You should just pay readiness to serve charge. Yeah.
But why should I have to pay for a readiness to serve if it's not ready to serve?
Unfortunately, it's there, it's ready to serve.
That's what they consider
It's-
readiness to serve.
I could have, at the moment, it is ready to serve. I could have it turned on tomorrow.
Yeah.
But once the building's down, it's not gonna be.
It's because it runs by the property. There's a service coming off the main onto your property.
So what if we drill a well?
You still
pay a rate of service.
you're still
You
gonna
pay a
pay it,
minimum.
it's a surf charge.
We own the house right next to Watson usually, on McConnell Road. There's no ready to serve at that house, we've had the rebel. We have a well there. You don't pay no ready to serve there, the water line is right down the road.
Where's that?
We're trying to get it put in there, want $5,000 put in, is that not?
Is there sewer?
No, there's no sewer, there's water though.
I don't believe water has ready, sewer definitely has a ready to serve charge.
Water does.
I think the water, if you are connected, you have to pay a minimum.
I'm not connected though.
Well, you are connected because I mean, there is a shut off.
It was,
And it is connected.
yes, but it was
So,
disconnected.
I don't think that the water has a ready to serve. I think the sewer does.
I don't know, I'll ask them.
You can find out.
The water is ready to
And
serve.
we can't use it, why do we have to pay till we can use it?
Okay, so if it's ready to serve, that means tomorrow I can have it turned back on and I can move a homeless person in there and we're gonna be fine? I doubt it.
We'll put a mobile home in there.
Unfortunately, I
So
believe you find that state law.
according to the water district,
It's not state law, I did look it up. So it's
There
not
is
state
no-
law, it's a
They're
policy.
ready to serve, is it?
It's policy of the towns is what it, of each individual.
I would check with the Public Utilities Commission.
there is no ready to serve for the water district. That just came from Aaron. There is ready to serve for the sewer. So if the sewer goes by your house, you have to pay a fee because somebody invested along the way
I
to
want to
put
see
in,
that in writing.
to put in public
I
sewer.
want to see that in writing, so if you,
Okay,
if
I-
Aaron or whoever is able to
I'm
get
sure
that
you
from
can
me.
get that from the PUC because
So my
that's
question
like,
is, what happens if let's say, I don't pay my bill and they come and shut me off? They're going to keep billing me? If you can't afford to pay it, why would they keep billing you?
Have Aaron shovel the roof.
What's that?
Have Aaron shovel your roof.
The town paid for the water and sewer for the last 13 years.
This just-
Longer than that.
I thought that was owned by the town. The town took it for back taxes.
that house?
Yeah.
Yeah, and she bought it.
Bought it.
Yes, but did she buy it from you, the town?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the town should be responsible for the water,
Why?
for the past water bills, all the past.
No,
She's not talking about past water bills.
I'm not paying
We
the
pay our
past
bills.
water. Yeah, I'm not paying the past water bill.
The townspeople paid the water bill there.
Yeah, yes. I'm sure they did.
Yep.
I'm sure they did.
I think you may have a valid question about the water, and I don't know if where it is turned off, if you have to pay the minimum. I don't know the answer to that. I do know that I've paid multiples of them in my life, readiness to serve charges on properties where the sewer has gone by, and maybe you had a septic system and you chose not to hook it up. And if you chose not to hook it up, you have to pay a fee to the sewer department. That's like worldwide, well, nationwide. I mean, that's not uncommon.
I am finding it both ways, though, John. It's not just black and white, that everybody pays ready to serve. It's not black and white. There's some case law that says no.
Well, the sewer department, the sewer
In
department
this
is...
situation, how is it ready to serve
the
if
sewer
I can't
department-
put someone in that house?
The sewer department is regulated by the PUC. The water district is not. So I would guess if you've got a complaint with your sewer bill, you should complain to the PUC. The water district, you can go to them personally, but they're not, the water district is not regulated by the PUC, just the sewer. So,
Did you go to them and ask them if they would do anything about it? Did you-
I haven't yet. I
I
just
would
came
think-
here
I
to,
would
this
think
just
common
happened.
sense would prevail. I would like to think it would prevail. You're not using any water. Come on.
I can't use the water. They have condemned my house. The town has condemned my house.
I understand that, but you're not using any water. It's shut off.
so there are, as an example, there are properties in town, I know of one very specific. It's got one water main that comes into it, and it's got a water meter.
Well, I can
Hold
take
on.
my excavator down there and rip it all out.
The water then goes to another building on the site. You get a water bill, plus a minimum water bill for the second building, and 2 sewer charges. And there's 1 pipe going out to the sewer, and there's 1 water pipe coming into the building. And the owner of that building gets 2 water bills and 2 sewer charges. Because there's 2 buildings that aren't exactly connected, but there's 1 water line coming in, and there's 1 sewer line going out.
It just doesn't seem fair that you make people pay for something they're not
Some of us
getting.
just pay it every month and do it.
Right, but it's, what I'm saying is it's a service that I'm not receiving and don't know when or if I will receive it at what point. And it just does not. Right, I can't even put someone in it. I've got people I know that could use a place to stay right now. And I could put them in there, I guess, and turn the water back on.
You can't because the building's condemned.
Exactly, so that's my point, John.
Well, I guess,
That's my point. So the ready to serve goes out the window with that argument. It goes out the window. I'm not ready to serve. I cannot turn that on tomorrow.
to serve, they're ready to give you the water.
It's not the
That's where
sewer district's fault.
is, unfortunately.
it's not the sewer district's fault that you bought a condemned building. Their sewer pipe is there ready.
I did
they're
not
ready-
buy a condemned
They're ready
building.
to
It was
serve you.
condemned after I did what the town was hoping I would do, was to evict the tenant. And we're not gonna go into that, okay? And this is what I
Again,
get.
that was your choice. You could have left her there.
She helped you guys.
Why don't you charge the Carrolls, the water district, using your property to feed the other pump on the other side of your property?
Oh, I don't know about that.
To feed what?
Down there at the airport. You have to go across your property to get to the other buildings, and if they want to screw with you, just charge them for using your property.
I'm just looking for fairness. That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
Good luck.
Anyone else? No.
I want to backtrack a little bit to the trees, harvesting of the trees. Was that posted, was that put out to bid? I know there was bids brought in, but was it posted publicly? I couldn't find it in the shopper's guide, but was it posted on the, what is it, the post office, the shopper's supermarket, and right out here? How was that advertised?
Alicia, we never advertised that. No,
We sent it to 5 different companies.
5 different companies.
Okay, and so everything was called, okay. So you received 4 bids. Well, no, let's back up. You received 1 bid a while ago, and I can't remember whether we opened it or what, but John had said something about a certain amount of money that had been allocated for it. And then something was suggested about sending out or having Alicia call some more people, so she did. And then they ended up with a total of 4. Which was opened just recently. Well, the letters were opened, but there was a 4th one that was never acknowledged. Somebody said something about an email. Let's see, there was 18,000 for one, 18,000 for another, and then over 18,000. Some of them were separate. Well, the email that wasn't, this is to try to save the town some money and to continue on and get over this. The email was $5,850 to do all the trees, both locations, one and done. I realized that they said, well, no, actually in the purchase policy, which I just got today, it didn't say anything about a sealed bid, because the 2,500 to 15 was just qualified bidders. There was nothing about, the over 15 was the sealed, but you don't know what they are before they're open. So anyway, to backtrack, we've had problems starting with the plowing contract, bending the rules 2 years ago. We've been working on that one. The sidewalk, the people were crucified because they didn't do the job very good, and then the new ones came on. That one, the sidewalk has been having problems, and to this date, I don't think he was reprimanded for the almost collision that happened a couple of weeks ago. Everything has been done. There's been breach of contract. There's been rules bent all over this place for quite some time. To save the town money, why can't the email be included in those bids to, just a minute, I'll let you talk, to save the town money? It was a legal bid. I have several emails here between Alicia and the company, which is Kimball, and it's back and forth, and there was a couple of times that one was changed from so many trees to so many trees. You know, this whole tree thing has been a cluster. Get it over with. We don't have to have a special town meeting to raise a lot of money for the townspeople to have to back. We can get this done for less than $6,000. Okay, Howard.
When I wrote that proposal and the bid process on it, right on the bottom, right in bold letters, it said all bids must be returned to the town. It had the address on it. It must be in a sealed envelope, and it has to be in a certain date at a certain time, and no exceptions. He chose to send that in. Now, the reason why we do the sealed bids is so you can't have a bunch of people looking at it ahead of time, and something could happen. Somebody says, oh, this one's bidding such and such, this one's bidding such and such, and it just becomes a problem.
I understand that, and that's what happened at the beginning.
But the only reason that was thrown out is because he didn't follow the rules.
Okay.
That's why we want to know if it was posted.
When Alicia was calling about and telling everybody, you know, all these, he said he wrote up the bid. Did you read everything on it, and that's how everybody understood it? I mean, because there were, like I say, there were several, I've got every email there is between the two of you.
So when we were going to go back out for bids, I got a bid from him the next day in email, and then I sent him the bid specification out to him and to four others, and the others came back as requested, except for that one, came back through email.
Okay.
Do you have that email bid?
Yeah.
Did it specify what they were going to do?
I've got it right here. Remove 30 ash trees and on the easterly side of the town office with crane. Remove 1 pine tree, 2 other ash trees on the westerly side of town office with crane. Remove 9 ash trees with crane at Tibbetts Memorial Park. All trees cut at ground level, all wood chips removed from property. $5,850.
I make a motion after discussion with the contractor on site that we award the tree cutting to Kimball's Tree Service for the municipal building and Tibbetts Park. But I want to caveat that they're going to meet the criteria that we need.
I believe they sent the insurance and everything from the emails, Alicia?
They never sent that?
Oh, well, he'd have to provide that.
Yeah, just need it before work.
And they are licensed arborists.
If he can meet all the requirements he has to, I'll second that motion.
Okay, any discussion?
Huh?
We spoke to him personally.
I don't care, you're not a
Yeah.
spokesman for them.
No, I'm just
We're
carrying the
trying to-
message.
The thing is, we go to people for facts, that's all, because we heard so much different, because we didn't know what the bid was. I know they said because of the email, and I think it was Howard said it was because they said it had to be a sealed bid. I don't have a problem with that, but we didn't know what his actual bid was until we went and spoke to them. That's how come we got all this information, that he could do both parties for $5,800, where the town wanted to have another meeting to get more money added on to the low bidder, so they can cut the rest of the trees. Because the first bidder could only do up to the Memorial Park.
So we weren't adding any money, we were just moving, just so to be clear, we didn't have to add any money. We just had to move it from one spot to another.
Well, whatever.
But we
So
still
that-
have to
but-
spend it, take it away from something else that we
Well, no,
could use it
we
for
had
something.
we had tree cutting money in two pots. We just had to move some from one pot to another, so.
This
that-
way we
but
would-
this way we don't have to move
Yeah,
any.
right, and we would have to, we'd be able to
and-
save the rest of it for more trees
More trees
down
that
the
come out,
road.
and if you look at our purchasing policy, it is, the last one in says we can accept any bid that is considered to be in the best interest of the town. And if we can do it for $5,800, I can't imagine that's not in the best interest of the town when we've had bids for $14,000.
Oh, we weren't aware of that bid.
Well,
No, but we are now.
Yeah, we are
And
now.
we-
We
and we
weren't
have
aware
it.
of that bid.
Well, we
I
knew
wasn't
that.
aware of the bid.
Well,
I wasn't aware of what the bid was.
no, we were told one came in, and we did talk about it and said
because it wasn't
It
according
wasn't-
to the bid
it
spec.
wasn't on the bid spec.
And I understand that, but it's like he said, if we can save money for the town, I mean, it's right in the rules, that any bid should be decision by you people.
I'm going to vote yes. I just want you to tell me you agree with me, just once in your life. There you go. One time in your life. How there we go.
All right, all in favor? Opposed?
That means
Fails.
typical town.
Okay. No one else?
I just want to introduce myself as the most hated person in Limerick. And I advise people that want to take me to court with the DEP that maybe they should read the rules before they do so. Because I went to court, I went right into the DEP in Portland and wanted to see pictures. Well, first off, the person that took, he wouldn't tell you who did it, but the person was not well educated because he took the pictures out of his vehicle and you could see him in the rear, in his side mirror. So, in other words, and you may blame me for everything at the Brick Town Hall, and I'm guilty, but I was there to save money for the town. Because when the town went out of its way, I kept arguing with them and arguing with them, with the fire marshal. No results. So like I said, I go to the source. I went right into Portland, the main Justice Department, on the 6th floor, and filed a complaint because she's in charge of there. My point was, the fire escapes, and you only have one exit to get out of the building. And they ruled on something that 40-some people per floor. Well, I don't know if that's been settled with the town or not. That's not my business. It could be all settled. And as far as the handicap, I argued from day one when they put the handicap ramp in. And they said it was done. So the first few years, I went up, and one year we had to call Bob Richardson to come and dig it out just before I called the election commission, and they had to come and dig it out and fill it in so handicapped people could use it. But I don't know who that guy that was in charge of us that you dealt with out of Lewiston. He kept saying it was done. It's right in the the town report, and it'll show you there was no platform on the bottom. So I decided to protect the town from any lawsuits for the handicap issues. I went right up to the Human Rights Department and filed a complaint. And apparently, the town lawyer spent ungodly money against the deal, and we won't discuss the settlement. But I'm the bad guy, and I'll be willing to admit it any time of the day. But I've lived here for almost 75 years, and I could tell you stuff around this town, but I'm here to represent the people of the town, the handicapped, or the safety of the people that use the Brick Town Hall. And that's all I got to say. But you're welcome to come down or send a DEP in again. I'd love to see you. So, and thanks again, John. I really appreciate making that motion.
Didn't work.
Thank you. You know, so I don't trust you. You're a doctor, like Dr. Jill. Only my name on it.
I just want to briefly bring back a sore subject to ask that next winter on the snowplow issue. There was discussion about stone dust, and I didn't see it until now as well as it did, but anyone who is on that board who wants to come by and walk along my front lawn, please do, because I think you're going to see nothing but stone dust there, maybe a little sand. And I'm going to ask that the feet on plows, is that something that is considered a standard for towns?
No, shoes.
Shoes. Shoes. Sorry about that, Steve. So I've been corrected. The shoes on a plow, on municipal plowing, is that normal? And I'm going to ask someone who was involved in the town before if that's a normal thing to have or not. But it appears that after a plow goes by, there's always a skim of snow still there. To me, that means the plow blade is not touching the asphalt. And I was wondering if this is going to continue to be a contract for another year to try to improve upon the quality of the plow job. I don't know if that's what's happening because it's not my decision, but is it normal to have shoes on a plow? It appears that that was a nod in the negative fashion, so I'm just hopeful.
You assuming they have shoes on their plows?
I'm assuming by the skim coat that's repetitively there, and that there is. I don't know. I'm just
Definitely elevated, John.
just saying. Thank you.
One thing I forgot. This is probably going to upset you, John. On that budget committee thing that was kind of a screw up that time. Town meeting budget thing.
The special town meeting we had a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a question. How well do you know David McLean?
How well do I know David McLean?
Yeah, you worked with him a lot on other projects last year.
I know I know him through stuff for the town. He was on the Charter Commission.
Yeah.
He was on the fire department building committee.
Wow.
I'm as friendly with him as I am with the plow contractor.
Wow.
We've both been up to dinner together this many times.
Okay.
And I've been to each of their houses once in my life.
Well,
so we're just as close.
Well, I was told that I could file an ethics committee, an ethic violation, because like you nominated him, and then he signed all the agreements, the Constitution deal, the whole thing, and the meeting started. I'd like to know who said that he was from out of town, because all of a sudden, the meeting was shut down.
I have no idea who. I was looking for speakers in the basement, and I came upstairs, and they said, Katie's going to take over.
Well,
so I don't know who brought it up.
No, see, I've been to the voting commission and this and that, and they told me if they thought it was something that I had to go see the FBI. Well, I went to the
I'd go right to the CIA if I was you. Don't mess with the FBI.
You say that. When I went to see the Attorney General, they got security guards, Marine Corps security guards when you get off the elevator. Well, the FBI, you swear to God, it's a dungeon. It's on the 4th floor of the opposite tower where the main Justice Department is. And They said, we discussed it with them, but you go down the hall, you get off the elevator, you go down the hall, and it's a dungeon, both sides, and there's all these dark doors. There's no notes, no glass, no nothing. So finally, you get one door, you can push a button, and somebody answers you. And they told me to go to somebody else. And it's gone down to the point, because if you look in the law book, it says under ethics, you should investigate, inform, and enforce. And I'm just asking. I mean,
Come get me. What's the penalty for nominating a out-of-state person?
I don't know. I don't know, John.
Special town meeting.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying you're guilty
Don't waste a
of
bunch of
anything.
time with the FBI. I'll say it on air. I'm guilty. So if the FBI's watching, come get me.
No, I just asked you if you knew it, and you nominated. I'm not
If I
saying,
knew it, I
I'm not
would've
saying
nominated
anything
him.
about you. I'm just saying, what's the deal with him? It's all on him.
Well, I think if he knew, certainly if I knew, I wouldn't have nominated him.
Well,
And
I
Dave
understand
is-
that.
And Dave is a stand-up guy. If he knew, he wouldn't have accepted the nomination. And now you had, I don't know I don't know who actually got the slips to vote for him, but our town clerk was there.
Yeah.
Our town clerk must have known that he's not a voter, if he's right. But yet the town clerk handed out ballots for him to be voted on, accepted him, and swore him in. And I'm not putting the blame on her, but if I'm going to get arrested for nominating him, then the town clerk ought to be sharing the cell with me.
You're getting way out of hand, because if I wanted you arrested, it would have been happened long ago.
Yeah, I wish.
On the paperwork that they swore on, okay, I thought I had a copy, but I don't, on the oath, I guess it is, it says right on there, I am a citizen of Maine. And I mean, he isn't, should have said, no, I'm not, is what he's getting at.
If that's on there, he's citizen thereof. So it doesn't say citizen of Maine, it says a citizen thereof. So, yeah.
We done? Motion to adjourn.
What's the motion to Get used to it. Next week, it's going to be a hearing of citizens only.
Why'd you give this to me?
You can pass it around for everybody.
Let's see.
And all these pictures. Ricky, you can see that after too. There you go. Anyway, Steve McLean. So last week I sat here and there was some discussion about stone dust and everything else, and one selectman brought it up, another one brought some sand up here. And I kind of just said, well, you know, this is interesting. All right, 45 years selling plow stuff all over the country, okay? So I said, well, Tuesday morning I went out with a little shovel and 5-gallon pail and went to 5 or 6 different streets, okay? They all had that stuff, stone dust, all right? So Howard got hung out to dry, and I'd have no problem with stone dust. I mean, a lot of towns use stone dust, okay? I like it because it wears their sander chains out faster. I sell them more sander chains, okay? It's great. But, you know, it's just gone on and on and on, so there is no problem with using it. The prior contractor couldn't use it. But then we've been here now for 4 months arguing whether we're using it or not using it. Dr. Farron kind of stole a little bit of my thing there. He didn't know what I was doing. I just want you guys to see, the last storm, it was stone dust, okay? Not a big deal, but we can't argue among selectmen, what are you looking at, what am I looking at, and everything else, all right? I mean, you probably went down there, Wade, and there's probably a sand pile.
If he put stone dust on, that whole pile down there is sand, Steve.
Oh, I understand. I'm not saying...
I got the stuff, okay? I go down, I get my few bucketfuls for my mother to do a walkway. You know what? That's what it looks like when I get it. So evidently, we're buying stone dust to give to our citizens then, because that's the same stuff.
You're right.
But that pile down there,
Right,
I went
Ricky,
down and
that's mostly stone
I
dust
dug
up
into
there.
that pile on 3 sides.
Okay.
In a foot. Go down there and look.
See the pictures? Those are the
That is
roads.
sand.
Those are the roads. That's not sand, that's stone dust.
Well, I
okay?
guess, I don't know.
Stone dust, go over to Newfield where you grew up, and you'll see real sand. It's a darker color, okay? I'm just saying, but you guys argued, and it just, everyone just looked like
We're
fools.
not arguing, Steve. I know I dug in, it's brown sand.
That's right,
in the
but this
pile.
is what's on the town roads
The only stone dust
in
that's down
Limerick.
there would be underneath the pile that was left over from last year.
Right. And that's exactly what Jeff said when he was over the garage. There's still some stone dust, and usually it's the last
He
storm.
got any stone dust that's
Okay.
there, because that whole pile is sand, and I've checked it all winter long.
All right.
So I think the stone dust is the stuff they put between bricks.
No,
No?
it's residual,
It's almost like
residual,
slate.
when they crush all the stone, that's why it's gray, all right?
Okay, what do they put between bricks when they lay? No, not cement. What's that?
Masonry, very soft sand. There's all kinds of different grades of sand. You go down the Carrolls, they got stuff for the concrete, that's one sand. They got sand that goes to the asphalt, that's another sand. The point to put in that into it, the next contract should say, use whatever the hell you
The
want to
next
use.
contract should say, well, I wanted to put a natural gritty material, because I could care less what they use.
That's right. But
Right, I mean, who,
We've argued
I
about
don't
it. Like I
yeah.
said, the last contractor couldn't use it, now we can, so it just should, whatever it is, all right? We did a good job putting the 60-40 or 80-40, whatever mix. Okay, that's fine. But, you know, put an end to that, you know what I mean? It was embarrassing last week where somebody brought it up with stone dust, and Dr. Farron's the same thing, he's cleaning out front of his house, that's all stone dust. All right, the state of Maine used the crushed stone because they were out of crushed gravel last year. If you go up by my red barn, you're going to see crushed gravel on one side and the crushed stone on the other side because they ran out of crushed gravel. Now you can motion to
That
adjourn.
stuff right there, you get damage on your cars too.
Everything damages you.
Well, it's abrasive. Okay, motion to adjourn? So moved.
All in favor? Good night.